This is the Page Publishing Book Club. How you doing? I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Dale Peskin is a journalist based in Washington, D.C., who grew up in western Pennsylvania, where he cut his teeth doing stories on the demise of America's steel industry. September 19th, 1977 is a day remembered as Black Monday, when the owners of the Campbell Works shut down the mill, leaving 5,000 people without jobs. But there's a lot of stories from that dark time in history, including The Timekeeper's Daughter.
Yeah, it's really based on true events when I was a reporter back in Youngstown, Ohio, which is my hometown. And there was really major shenanigans that ended the industrial age in the steel mills in Youngstown. And as a reporter, I wrote about a conspiracy involving all of that stuff. So the story has been widely reported as news, but, given my, instincts and experience in the town, I wove it into a novel about real people confronting, significant change in community life. It's really based around a young woman. The lead character is Lou Ann Epperson, who's a pioneering computer scientist. And this is sort of the transition between the industrial age and the computer age. And she's called home to deal with the death of her father. And she uncovers a conspiracy and a mystery where her father was a whistleblower killed for important information that really ultimately changes the course of an entire community.
She finds out her dad's dead. She comes home, but she doesn't know he was killed.
She does not know. She discovers that he was killed. And, this journey unfolds that takes her to the guideposts of her life in her hometown in Youngstown. It's
basically a foreshadowing of what's to come.
Exactly. That's absolutely correct. I mean, people are still writing about Youngstown this very day, in newspapers, I'm afraid. But, the whole idea of what is gained by new times in the computer age and what is lost in people's legacy and experience in their hometowns.
You say it was a merger. The government knew about it. They knew that This was coming down, right? And this happened everywhere. I don't understand. Times change. Technology takes jobs away, but it brings new jobs. Why can't they just do it right? Why can't they come in and begin a re-education effort in these communities? Why does it have to turn out like this?
Yeah, that's a very old and important story. It always turns out like this. People and institutions rely on the convenient and what's always worked. And the victims of all of this are people and community life, and all the culture and the work and the things that were important to people are just dismissed by public policy that's ill-conceived and immoral, I would argue.
For sure. But I at the same time, I understand on some level, being in a newsroom and watching technology change. So we didn't need as many desk assistants, and we didn't need people to find sound on things that we could now find on the computer. Like, I got the whole thing, and I saw the unions come in and try to preserve these jobs. Yeah. And the fact was that technology was making these jobs obsolete. So again, we hang on, and as you said, it happens time and time again, and still the government, they come in and they just steamroll over people, their lives, their history. I don't think people understand, like in Bethlehem and Youngstown and the culture that they have a lot of pride, and they've raised their families, and their kids are going to grow up and they're going to do the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the interesting sub themes in the book is that the lead character is kind of a pioneering computer scientist who really can deliver the promise of the new information age. But one, as a woman, is subject to discrimination and sexist treatment. These were boys' clubs running science and academia and government and business, and she's dismissed when she, as you suggest, can bring a new promise of jobs and culture and community life to people.
All right, Dale, great job. Thank you. J.V. Pelt has a lot of life experience to draw on as an expert witness for the state of Tennessee for DNA and forensics. He also runs a testing company for DUI, paternity suits, homicides, rape, incest, you name it. But you know what inspired his first book? Boredom. When he tried semi-retirement a few years back, his wife encouraged him to write. Edge of Dark on Thunder Road is the name of his first book.
It took me 2 years, 3 years to finalize the whole book, although we didn't go to publication on it here till just recently because I kind of put it away and my wife kept on me. You got it's a good book. Everybody likes it. You ought to get it published. And yeah, right, sure, okay. So anyway, the story is about the meth war for territory here in East Tennessee. I have been a law enforcement officer a long time ago. And basically, it's a clash of cultures between the Mexican cartel, who are quite sophisticated people, and the mountain boys here in Tennessee, who aren't sophisticated but are really street smart. And they control the mountain boys, along with their kingpin, who is a local businessman here, control a lot of the market in meth. And they grew up in that area because their forefathers had been moonshiners. And then when moonshine got squashed by the feds, then they went into marijuana. And then after that, they went into cocaine. And then they got into meth because it was easier to produce than just about anything else. And they had their claws already into the distribution market, going all the way back to their days in both marijuana, even to some degree in moonshine. So anyway, the Mexican cartel learns about their whole market that they have here, that there's no competition, and it decides they want a piece of it or the whole thing. And my protagonist is right in the middle of all of this. And he is hired by a large security firm, which is somewhat clandestine. And the local people and the feds and all that really don't want to get involved in this kind of a war. So their firm is called in to find out what's going on and be able to report back to them so they can keep their hands somewhat clean. There's a lot of action, there's sex, there's love, there's the usual type of thing that you want in a novel. It's not a novel for the faint of heart, certainly not a kid's novel, and it's not a woman's love novel. One of my best friends, and we've been from high school to college and all of that, is a very successful attorney out in LA. And some of his clients are within the Hollywood grouping for both movies and for regular television series types of things. And he's an avid reader. I sent him out a copy. He liked it. He's going to try to pass. Then I sent him out some more copies of the book so that he can pass out to some of the people in Hollywood.
Well, that sure can hurt, Jim. Thank you. Tessa Cox is earning her master's degree in Shakespearean theater from a London university while working full-time, which has nothing to do with her book, but I was so impressed I had to mention it. And I think it speaks to the determination of this woman who was so inspired by the young adult genre she became familiar with while working at a bookstore. She decided this would be her audience for her trilogy, Transference, the Empathia Saga.
It's about, she's a 17-year-old girl. She was adopted by very loving but conservative family. Her dad's a pastor. She discovers that she has some supernatural abilities. And I just really liked the idea of juxtaposing that situation in her life. And she doesn't know where these came from, but unbeknownst to her, they are a transference from her biological parents. And of course, there's a devastatingly handsome guy who's ready to be by her side and help her through this whole struggle. And he also has some unique abilities of his own. He is actually what we would call an empath, who is a person who can control and shift emotions. And that's very useful when you're trying to help a girl that doesn't know exactly what's happening to her and why she can suddenly read minds and, predict the future and things like that. So this is all a big deal for me because before Transference, I wasn't on social media, but I am now. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I have a website. I actually just got into the Goodreads author program, so I'm on Goodreads now. I have been talking it up constantly on all my social media. I ran a raffle actually for, I don't know if you know what NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month is. It's the month of November every year. They celebrate new novelists who want to kind of start their own book. And the challenge is they, write a big chunk of it during the month of November. And so I really love that idea and I wanted to help sponsor it, and I got the permission from nanorino.org to use their logo, and so I sponsored a raffle on my website to kind of promote that. I actually am really excited because my publication coordinator at Page just told me that we're really close with the ebook, and so it's on Kindle right now. It's on the Nook at Barnes & Noble. They're waiting for iTunes to come through. Yeah, when all that's done, I think I'm going to do like a Kindle giveaway, like see if I can, promote something there. So
All good, Tessa. All good. Thank you. Marcy Thompson is a lot of things: a writer, a certified mental health coach, but most important, she's a simplicity revivalist. And in her book, Obsession: Memoirs of a Minimalist, she teaches us how to shed all that stuff that distracts us from what's really important in life.
Correct. What really kickstarted me was a women's conference. It's this last night of the conference, and I like to call In Came the Closer. For me, it was Amy Dockery. For others, it's just those words that get whispered. Wisdom, clarity, and refinement were those three words that just like gave me this trajectory to seek out why they were shared on my heart. But these three simple words, it kind of stirred my revival to figure out, okay, there's something of a message behind discipline that we get in everyday living. So I kind of encompass it as the minimalist lifestyle. For me, it's a Christian minimalist lifestyle. It clears your heart, directs you to live intentionally, and it creates more space and thought to find meaning. So as most of us refer to it as our purpose. So Obsession, the title of it actually imparts a different way to consider your heritage, right? So a plant, as it naturally releases its leaves, it also bears fruit. And so for us, it kind of tackles that contradictive systemic comparison in our lives. It serves as this reminder to remain humble and you embrace all forms of discipline, no matter how small. When you open up the book, you're going to read just a picture of me sitting in church and what that means to me, how it came to me, and how living this life of humility, it will redirect your life. The characters are myself and my husband, and it's our life, it's our testimony, and we like to share it as our mission. So throughout the book, we're going to invite those friends we meet to find their fire. What's your passion? What's your moment? Those tiny moments that you find simplicity. How can you clear the clutter of what's directing you now to become more purposeful? Throughout the book, I share of different people, whether it's through reading, writing, friendships, research. I did a lot of research with regards to the analytics behind becoming a minimalist and what really opened my eyes. So those are the details that kind of lead the beginning entry of the book. So the people that are referenced, most importantly to me, are Amy Dockery. She wrote several books, and then Lisa Bevere, of course, Tony Evans, Andrew Womack. All of them are within the context of the book. They inspired me on my journey, and so it kind of gave me a different tour of how to look at the word with regards to minimalism. So to me, at the end of the day, Jesus was I would say, my greatest minimalist, right? Lay down what you have and come with me. Okay, well, there couldn't be a greater message. So it was just a different way to look at it, right, to give you this version of being in a simplistic mindset instead of being so focused on your next success or the material portfolio that you've acquired, whether it's what you wanted or not in the moment. It's just an invitation to look at simplifying. I am grateful. I mean, I dreamt about being an author, right, as a younger person. And so I am very grateful for the opportunity. It's overwhelming, right, at first, and you write the sentence and you write a paragraph and you try to decide how you name everything. And then, once it all comes together and you're seeing it in fruition and they're sending you a copy and you're like, wow, did I write this?
Yes, you did. All right, listen.
Yay!
Something to think about as we head into our short break. This is the Page Publishing Book Club.
Have you written a book and want to get it published? Then now's the time to call Page Publishing at 800-204-6099 and do it immediately. You see, they're looking for authors of all types of books. And unlike most publishers, Page Publishing will take the time to review most of the books submitted to them. And they'll even give you their feedback. And if they like what they read, Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, the Apple iTunes Store, and other outlets. They'll handle everything: copyright protection, printing, cover art, publicity, and editing. So if you've written a novel, a children's book, a cookbook, inspirational work, a book of poetry, or biography, and want to get it published, then you need to call Page Publishing and do it immediately. Call 800-204-6099 now for your free author submission kit. Your road to fame and fortune could very well start with this simple phone call. For your free author submission kit, call Page Publishing at 800-204-6099.
And we're back on the Page Publishing Book Club. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Demetrius Riley is following his passion after graduating from the Art Institute of California with a degree in marketing and management with a focus on fashion. His book, Soigné, is just the beginning of what he hopes to do.
What had really caught my eye was the style of bespoke suits, which basically is just, handmade suits made straight from the fabric. So when I got introduced to that, it just really caught my eye. And so I started learning more about it. And then once I learned about it, I wanted to do it. I wanted to make those type of suits for other guys and, women as well. So I just, started studying the nomenclature, the different cuts, different styles. And then just over the years, just kind of seeing it and implementing it into my dress, people started to notice it and compliment me. And other guys started to dress up as well. When I would go to church, other guys would dress up more. So I just saw how I can influence people with it, just helping people tie ties and bow ties. I figured I'd put it in the book, like all the information that I learned over the years. I figured I could just put it in the book and then, use it as a way to help people because most people don't actually go to school to learn these type of things. So first, I wanted to give a history of the men's suit, a history on how important clothing was when it came to distinguishing royalty or the priest. Just how clothing really was an expression. Staple products that we know today, like the trench coat or, loafers, things like that, how they started, where they started, why they're important, how they became staple pieces. So then I'll give you an insight on fabrics. For a perfect example, when I was living in LA, it was really hot, especially in the summertime. I had a job where I dressed up, every day. And so I just remember one time being outside and the guy was like, man, like I'm over here sweating, man. Why are you not sweating? And then, so, we took a look at the fabric and I had on a thin wool suit while he had on like a polyester suit. And it's like, once you know characteristics of, each fabric and what they do, what the pros and cons, you have certain fabrics that you can wear to keep you cool or keep you warm or things like that. So I'll talk about the difference between like wool and polyester, cotton, special fabrics that we don't hear much about, maybe like silk or vicuña. Vicuña is one of my favorites because it's like the rarest fabric in the world, but it's the softest, and to get a suit made from vicuña is very rare. So it can cost anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 type of thing. That's how rare it is. Yeah. And one thing I feel like I did that I didn't see in any other books was I really talked about color theory and how to use color, not only the clothes that you wear, but how you can find your undertone. And how your undertone help you pick out your colors, to find out what colors like make you look best or what colors don't. So just knowing what colors to wear to really enhance your look, make you stand out, add contrast and things like that. So I feel like that's one thing that I touched on that I really didn't see in a lot of other books, because ultimately what I want the book to lead to, and I want to start my own image consulting company, ultimately the goal there.
Well, good luck, Demetrius. Thank you. Russell Matthews is a politician and businessman in Idaho Falls. He wants everyone to come to the table of democracy, and to get started, he thinks everyone should read his book. It's entitled Commander-in-Chief, an All-American Allegory.
Well, having served on Capitol Hill and then also in my legislature for a few terms, I wanted to do more. I've kind of concluded that our republic, using democratic principles, is like an inverted pyramid. Everyone thinks that the president is at the top, but actually The one that's at the top of all this is the individual. This is an all-American allegory about a Native American Indian boy who grows up and he becomes president of the United States. He has a bad day at the office the first day, and some bad guys give him a bad time, and he has to work through a lot of things, his past, his personal feelings. While overcoming personal inadequacy and weakness, he addresses themes of heroism, keeping oaths and promises, doing the deeds, the rule of law, and forgiveness. He's trying to get it right and overcome a lot of things that are going on in the world. This is not to be directed at any president or president-elect. It's all figurative and has deeper meanings. He's kind of the underdog. He overcomes bigotry and he gets elected. He's being sworn in and he's giving his inaugural acceptance speech. And some bad guys make an attempt on his life and those around him. And it's an attack on not just the president, but democracy itself. It's coming from an enemy that's meaner and more nefarious than a thug in an alley, from an opponent that's forcing his hands with a fist clenched with no rules. His background, not only was he a young man on a Western Indian reservation, but he also served his country. He was a decorated Army soldier in Afghanistan, where he worthily received several medals of honor for his valor in combat. He was fierce, he's fair, he's relentless, but he has a little secret of doubt, and he works with that all the time. Not only does he do this by himself, but more importantly, he does it with his family. They help him work through things, and he becomes great, and he's very concerned about the family. But not only that, his tribe back home and the American family. Although they're all dysfunctional at times, as we know, they're still our family. And they're worth fighting for and worth taking care of. In a world of divisiveness and toxic political arena, it's really a call to bring people together. We have so many things that we have in common as a people. You know, even on our little penny, we read about e pluribus unum. It means we're plural, but we're united. We're different, but we're united. And they worked on these things in the beginning. This is about the United States Constitution. This is about honoring oath and honor in country and family and our Creator.
Very good, Russell. Thank you. Finally, carpal tunnel surgery on 2 wrists left patients lovely, frustrated, and searching for something to do. Her partner suggested she start writing, and before she knew it, she had a book entitled Girl Next Door.
It was about this young lady, all the struggle she's been through. She lost her partner, and she didn't want to have no one close to her, so she threw herself in her work, and then she ran across someone that actually made her change her mind about letting someone get close, and that was the girl next door. Also, it's about her, you know, taking care of her mother and her brother and, you know, dealing with her kooky friends. But as she's going through this journey of trying to find herself again, and she falls in love all over again. But she's in conflict about things that she's going through in her life with her family and this young lady that just moved in next door. So she's trying to decide whether she's going to let this person in or not. But with all the things that she's going through, she has no choice because she needs still that sounding board, having to have that all over again because she lost the love of her life. She didn't have that anymore, you know. So she's starting to realize she can have that again, you know, with this young lady. And it's a very, very interesting story how it came about.
Is this based on your life?
It's somewhat based on my life of what I've been through. I put in experiences that I've been through, you know, and that's how the character, you know, came about. And I just, you know, went from there of what I thought she should go through.
All right. So the woman she falls in love with has a dark past. Her name
Yes, she does. Well, really, she thought she was ended, you know, her life with her ex, you know, but her ex actually is tracking her and she doesn't know this, you know, and her ex is actually someone who is not stable. So she actually tracks her, to different states, that she's done moved from. So she thinks she's done moved on, and no longer thinking about her, but she's not. She hasn't. It's the total opposite. She's obsessed with her, and she's going to soon find this out.
So it's kind of like a mystery.
It's a mystery, a suspense. It makes you laugh, makes you cry. Yes, all of that. So it's just a roller coaster of emotions. I am posting on Facebook. I am doing word of mouth. I'm also trying to get a YouTube page going about the book, and just basically trying to get it out there, spreading the word.
Good. So you feel good about that?
Oh yes, I really do. It took me 5 years to actually get it to release because I didn't feel comfortable and releasing it then, So I took my time in releasing it, but I feel very confident and very comfortable in sharing it with the world now.
Well, that's a really good thing, Patience. Good for you. And that's it for this edition of the Page Publishing Book Club. Thank you, authors. More great suggestions on how to promote your work. And as always, more inspiring stories. Check out the podcast on 710WOR.com. If you missed anything or if you want to share with your family and friends. We are winding our way down to the end of the most insane year the planet has ever known. Am I right? And we'll be back next week to keep the momentum going. Got a COVID story to share? Bet you do. Write it down. It really is going to be interesting to see how many people come up with COVID-related books in the new year, which for me cannot come soon enough. Okay, I'm Atlas Stockton Rossini. I'm out of here.